Hello, and welcome to today's Expert Series webinar, Fruit and Veggie Hacks That Make Habits Stick at Retail, at Home, and in Food Service. We're delighted today to have three amazing panelists, Sarah Kiel, Beau Coffron, and Abbie Gellman, sharing their expert insights. My name is Amy Myrdal-Miller. I'm PBH's Culinary and Food Service Specialist, and I'll be serving as your moderator for today's webinar. You may already be aware of the Have a Plant programs, but for those of you who aren't, we are 100% dedicated to helping people live happier, healthier lives by eating and enjoying more fruits and vegetables each and every day. Have a Plant programming is now part of the International Fresh Produce Association's Foundation for Fresh Produce, and together, we are forging alliances, increasing access, and growing appeal to increase fruit and vegetable consumption for a happier, healthier world. The Have a Plant movement leverages insights from behavioral science to tap into consumers' emotional connections to food and wellness. The Have a Plant movement, launched in 2019, has reached billions of consumers. I want to remind everybody about our additional educational resources, including scientific research and influencer toolkits. Everything is available for you at your fingertips at fruitsandveggies.org. Of note is our most recent behavioral research study, the Hacks to Habits Insights Report, which was released last year, as well as our newly released summer toolkit for the third quarter of 2023. In this toolkit, you'll find research tidbits, expert quotes, sample social media posts, in-store activation ideas for those working in retail, as well as culinary tips to help consumers eat and enjoy more fruits and vegetables every day for better health and happiness. So before we begin the formal presentations from our experts today, I want to remind you of a few things. This webinar has been approved for 1 CPEU through the Commission on Dietetic Registration. In about 48 to 72 hours, you will receive your link so you can download the certificate of attendance. You'll get the webinar recording as well as a PDF of the slides. And throughout the presentations today, please drop your questions into the Q&A box. We'll take questions at the end, but as soon as something comes up and pops into your mind that you want to probe further with our three experts, please drop that in the Q&A and we'll address that at the end of the webinar. Okay, so now that you're aware of how to ask questions and that we'll be sending you a link to your certificate as well as the recording and a PDF, let's dig in. So we humans are creatures of habit. Research shows that the consumption of fruits and vegetables sadly has been declining nationwide, even among traditionally higher frequency consumers. There's also reduction in previously prevalent uses of fruits and vegetables in everyday life, like 100% juice. And we also know from the latest research that people who learn new fruit and vegetable hacks are more likely to do them, to create those hacks into habits. So join Sarah Kiel from Yale Hospitality, their health and wellness manager and a former retail dietitian, along with Lunchbox Dad, Beau Coffron, and chef and registered dietitian Abbie Gellman, as they discuss and bring to life different approaches and styles to show hacks that build habits at retail, at home, and in food service. Sarah, I'll turn it over to you to begin today's expert presentations and insights.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, so until recently, until October, I had spent the majority of my career in the retail space. And so as I was preparing for this presentation, I wanted to think about how we look at hacks to habits in the retail space and how we try to encourage consumers to purchase more fruits and vegetables. Okay. Okay, so in this process, I identified 3 key pieces that help us to inspire our customers to purchase more fruits and vegetables when they're shopping in the grocery store: merchandising, convenience, and nudges. And so the first piece is merchandising. So we at Harmon's, when I worked at Harmon's, had a wealth of data available to us. And if you knew how to dig into it, you could really glean some interesting insights. So when we looked at birthday cakes and celebration cakes, think about what you perceive as the number one thing people might try to buy when they buy birthday cakes. Usually people say candles, other desserts. Well, interestingly, when we looked at the data, we saw that when people bought birthday cakes, they almost always bought chips and salsa. They're having a party, so they're having the cake, the chips and salsa. Okay, so how can we encourage them with this habit of purchasing chips and salsa and having a party to have more fruits and vegetables? So the first piece we acknowledged is, okay, they're buying chips and salsa. So how can we get them to buy our chips and our house-made salsa? And our house-made salsa was made in store. It's a really fruit and veggie packed option. It's a delicious choice. And so we wanted to encourage people to purchase that. And then we thought, okay, well, if they're having this party, what else do people want to have at a party? So we merchandised at that point. There we go. We included our fruit and vegetable trays. So we included our house-made guac, we included our fruit and veggie trays, hummus, fruit and veggie dips, and we saw increased sales in all of those pieces when we merchandise it all together. So we wanted to make it easy for people to not only have a party, but to have a party that includes fruits and vegetables. Other ways of merchandising, as I'm sure many retail dietitians know, are taking advantage of different holidays and special events. So these two displays were made, I think one was for the Super Bowl and one was for St. Patrick's Day. So we have lots of fruits and veggies. We have our corned beef and cabbage. And as you can see, the corned beef is a stripe through the middle with vegetables flanking both sides. Our Super Bowl display had some flatbreads in the back, but tons of flavors of hummus, tons of cut veggies, just making it easy and convenient and just reminding people that these products are here and that they're delicious. When it comes to merchandising, there's also the opportunity to include your marketing team. So this is a really good example. I believe that this was in February when citrus was in season. This was our ad, citrus, full center, beautiful photos of citrus. Okay, and then on our Instagram page, we included what's in season in March. And so the Instagram tied in with the ad. And then finally, we held a dietitian cooking class that included citrus. So to have sort of this surround sound message about citrus, about fruits and veggies, this is in season, it's delicious and it's fun, is a really good way to entice a customer to purchase more fruits and vegetables and to consume more. Okay, so we talked about the merchandising piece, and then the next piece I wanted to talk about is convenience. We all know that everyone wants convenience now. And that doesn't come just in the form of cut fruits and veggies, snackable fruits and veggies, like this cut watermelon or this carrot and celery sticks, but it can also come in the form of things like a fajita mix. We have the spiralized veggies. We sold a lot of the diced garlic, things that are in steamable pouches. And then even items like, this is a piece of a large banana squash. Most of us don't want to purchase an entire banana squash. So making things that are easy for consumers to purchase, they're less expensive, and it reduces waste, like a piece of his banana squash or half of a cabbage or any of those items, making it easier for people to buy is just huge. And I think that that category is only growing. And then we also have our nudges. So at Harmon's, we have healthy check lanes where all of the options are healthy options, and all of our magazines promote healthy body image. It's just a nice space to check out. A lot of parents would tell us that they check out there with their children in the cart because they're not asking for candy bars, they're asking for a piece of fruit. So we have that piece in the grocery store. This is an example of it. And then the next picture is the healthy harvest, right, for picking. This was in our break room. So we talk a lot about our consumers and how to get our consumers to eat more fruits and vegetables, but how can we implement those same ideas with our people and our team? So this was in a break room at one of our stores. Okay, I am now going to turn it over to Beau. Beau is one of the people that always inspires me to make fruit and veggie consumption a lot more fun and a lot more cute. So thank you, Beau, and show us how to cute and funify our fruit and veggie consumption.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. That was some great info. It made me want to go get some citrus now after seeing those. So my name is Beau, and when I created Lunchbox Dad, which started as a blog and went to social media a little over 10 years ago, it was for the purpose of encouraging parents and showing them fun food art recipes I was making for my kids. But over the years, I found that there are hacks that I've come back to time and time again over the last 10 years. And so I'm just going to share a few of those with you that really apply to families and especially parents and kids. And so here are starting with hack number 1. And that is kids love dips. And so I really discovered this early on when I was teaching an in-store class at a local grocery store. And what I did was kids and parents would come together and they would make their own produce food art monster faces. It was in the fall, and so they had a lot of fun doing that. But we wrapped up that class giving them ingredients to make their own dips. And so they were kind of like these little kids that were mad scientists mixing all these ingredients together, some which sounded great, some of them which didn't sound great, but they enjoyed it. And they were dipping all this produce in both sweet and savory dips. And parents were coming up to me afterwards and they're like, my kid has never eaten so much produce before. Now they're asking us to go buy some produce while we're here in store and take it home and make more dips at home. And so I've come back to this hack again and again because kids love dips, and let's face it, adults love dips as well. Hack number 2 is everything is more fun on a stick. And so when I think of stuff on a stick, the first thing that pops into my head is corn dogs. But I was going along, I was thinking, why are corn dogs so fun? It's just hot dogs and on a stick with some breading. But why not just put mini versions of everything on a stick? And so on the right there, you'll see a lunch that I made that is I simply call lunch on a stick, and it's everything is on a stick because it's just more fun. And so you have the sandwich, you have carrot sticks with some raspberries in there, you have some pretzel sticks and produce throughout there, and making a little face. And themes like this work really well when it continues through the entire meal, but it can also just be as simple as fruit for Valentine's Day. And you'll see that in that middle picture there. And so fruit, making a Valentine's Day theme on a stick, or like pepperoni pizza poppers on a stick with vegetables. And I just actually put a video up right before this webinar on my Instagram for 4th of July that actually combines these 2 hacks. And so you have strawberries and bananas on a stick for red, white, and the dip is blue with a yogurt and honey dip. And so if you want to see this in action, you can go see that later on my Instagram. Now, hack number 3, savvy shopping ideas. Now, here's something about parents that you probably already realize, but I'm just going to put it out there just in case you don't, that parents love hacks that save them time because we're always short on time. And we also love hacks that save us money. And if you could do something that accomplishes both, it's gold for parents. And so post-COVID, what we really found out with our family is that people were looking for simple ideas that can save them time and money, and where they can see this in-store shopping experience where each ingredient is bought in store at the same store, and then following up with showing that recipe being made. And so they're paying less, they're saving time. And so these videos just really took off for us. And here's some thumbnails on screen that you can see. Pretty easy how to make 4 lunches for only this amount of money, how to make a meal for 4 people for only $12. And people have loved these ideas. And these thumbnails for these videos have literally racked up hundreds of thousands of views per video, and in some cases, millions of views per video. And so there's a need for these out there. And so if you could figure out a way for your product, your produce, to figure into a budget meal idea, or a savvy shopping idea, or kind of a fun twist on a recipe, parents are going to love that. Hack number 4, make fun shapes with produce. Now, my kids would tell you that there are some fruits and vegetables that they never would have tried in the first place if it wasn't in a fun shape. And so does that mean we have to serve it fun shape all the time from there on out? No, it doesn't. And it's getting them to try it, realizing, hey, here's something that they like, and then they try it again without it being in fun shapes. But it's easy as using vegetable cutters or even cookie cutters on fruit. And as you can see here, I made like a monster shaped apple. That's a rocket apple there, just a small apple with some slivered almond teeth. That was for Halloween. And then celery sticks in the shape of cars. And then watermelon just cut into a fun shape there. That was actually pretty easy to do with just a knife. But everyone has vegetable cutters or cookie cutters sitting around generally, at least a couple of them. And so that's a great idea for getting kids to eat it and just kind of a fun shape there. Hack number 5 is a twist on a viral social media recipe. Now, every once in a while, we know that a recipe goes viral. Think feta cheese pasta, cloud bread, that quesadilla folding hack from a while back. And last fall, it was butter boards. Right now, it's cottage cheese. And there's probably some people here who have made that cottage cheese ice cream recipe. We just tried that for the first time, mixed some fruit in there. And so that was pretty interesting. And many times I think, what is a twist that I can put on these recipes that makes it mine instead of just straight copying the trend? Because there's countless videos out there that are just copying the trend. And so for you, with your product, with your produce, what is something that you could do that can make this viral trend uniquely yours? It doesn't completely change it, but it just puts a simple twist on it where people can be like, hey, that looks great. Let me try it that way. And on the right there, that's a guacamole board. Instead of a butter board, we use guacamole with produce on that and produce dippers that we did for PBH that went on their social media. The one in the middle, that was a Halloween dessert board that I made and that was on my social media and using apple dippers. And so that was a fun one. And that actually got 2.4 million views because it wasn't a butter board, but it was just kind of a twist that was uniquely mine on there. And this is one of my favorite quotes by one of my favorite authors, Craig Rochelle, who's a New York Times bestselling author and leadership expert. And he says, success happens not by accident, but by habits. And if you want to change your life, change your habits. And so hacks are great. I love hacks. They make things easy. But if it's only a one-time experience, it's generally not going to have a long-term impact. And so one of our jobs is, how do we make hacks become habits? And I love the PBH hacks to habits research. And it has helped me so much. I know it's helped a lot of people and probably a lot of you out there just figure out, how do we take these hacks, these simple ideas, these simple things, and we turn them into habits that can have a long-term impact on people's lives. And so for more, I want to hand it off to Chef Abbie Gellman. And she's going to talk more about hacks for home cooks.
All right, let's see if I can get our screen moving. In the meantime, thank you, Beau. My ongoing joke, he knows it's coming. I love him so much. He's like the Martha Stewart, and I am the opposite of that. So all of his stuff is so beautiful and gorgeous, and I am not a food stylist, and I focus more on the flavor, as you're going to see momentarily when we get to the next section here. Aha, for home cooks. Okay, so I'm a big fan of formulas, and I know there's a lot of pictures here, so I'm going to kind of talk about formulas and then walk my way through and indicate which picture as we go. So for me, a formula is just, it could be as simple as a liquid and a fruit. It could be a little more involved, and we'll give you some examples, but something you can go back to. So maybe it is, we'll start with the upper left here, where you can see it's essentially a pita bread with some veggies on there and some cheese and an egg. So that could be a breakfast pizza. But I put the pizza on there to show that that is a formula, right? So maybe every Friday night you have pizza, maybe you're making your own dough, or you're getting a pita bread like this, or you're buying the dough from the store that needs to be cooked, but it is pre-made. And then everyone can make their own pizza. You put out veggies and cheese and other toppings that you want to happen. Everyone can make their own, or you can have one full one. But again, that's a formula. It is a standard kind of way to make a food that you can do over and over and over again, and it will never be the same. You can make it different every time. And then the second one down on that same left most column is a frittata. So you have your eggs, You have your veggies. I have some herbs in there. I like to add some heavy cream or whole milk to my eggs and salt and pepper just to make it a little light and fluffy. You can opt in or out of that as an option, but essentially, again, every time it can be different. It can be different veggies, herbs. You can add some cheese in there, all sorts of great stuff. And then the bottom left is probably one of the most popular formulas that we see out there, which is just the smoothie. So essentially you need a liquid. I like to put frozen fruit and frozen veggies in there. Some people add nuts or nut butter. You could add chia seeds, but that is essentially a very basic formula of some sort of liquid, some sort of fruit, and some sort of veggie, plus hopefully a healthy fat like nuts or seeds. All right, that second column, another breakfast, that's overnight oats. That's another one of my favorite. That is a huge time saver. So you're looking at kind of a double batch there in a really nice glass mason jar, but you can do it in a little restaurant takeout container or a resealable Gladware container. And again, you just need your liquid. So we want to have milk, almond milk, something that you enjoy the flavor of. We want to make sure that it is liquid enough because it will become thicker overnight. So usually it has rolled oats or instant plain oats in there. I like to add chia seeds and some sort of fruit. So in the one you see here, there's canned peaches. So again, it can be fresh fruit, it can be frozen fruit, and it can be canned foods, canned fruit, all forms fit. And we want it to be liquid, to have that liquid base be liquid enough, because what happens overnight is it really absorbs the nuts, the oats and the liquid really absorb together. So it becomes thicker. So it'll be kind of like concrete if you used a Greek yogurt. But if we use a milk or an almond milk or even a little bit of a kefir in there, it works a lot better. And then that middle there is edamame hummus dip. So essentially hummus is usually made from chickpeas. I did it with edamame instead. But again, that is a dipping. Beau just talked about how everyone loves dips, and I couldn't agree more. So I have it's just a bean or a legume as a base. You can add in some citrus like lemon or lime. You add in whatever seasonings and spices you like. You can put herbs in there, but dips are a very basic formula as well. And then on the bottom is vinaigrette. So it's just an oil and an acid. So it could be olive oil or sesame oil, any kind of oil you want. And then the acid could be vinegar, or it could be citrus. It could be grapefruit, orange, lemon, lime juice. I like to do 1-to-1, but the more oil you have, the more viscous it will be. So it'll be similar to more of a restaurant style dressing, the more oil versus acid. And then you can put in shallots, you could put in herbs, you could put garlic, other seasonings in there, salt, pepper. Sky's the limit with that again. And then the third column on the top there, that is just kind of a burrito bowl. So if you look, you can see there's rice and beans, and then I put these beautiful colored veggies on top. So it can be essentially everything you would put in your burrito, except without the burrito cover. So again, whatever kind of rice or whole grain you like, whatever kind of veggies you liked, raw or cooked. It's really a grain bowl is another way that some people might call it. And then the same with the pasta salad right below it. You have your pasta, you add in herbs and spices. I like to have a vinaigrette that I mix in with that. And then you can put in beans and whatever veggies that you enjoy. And right below that, we do Taco Tuesday here in my house, but I always make mine into a salad. So I either get those multi-grain chips or I get corn tortillas and I bake them to make them crispy. And then I put out all of the different toppings and things, and then I make my own taco salad, and my family makes their own tacos or taco salad as well. Upper right, that's just another salad, bean salad. So we have our vinaigrette base, we have our beans, we have a bunch of veggies. The second picture there is fish in parchment or fish en papillote. So again, same thing. You have parchment paper, or you can use aluminum foil if you want to do it on your grill. You have a piece of fish in the middle. I usually put olive oil and maybe lemon or lime juice on there. And then I put whatever veggies and herbs and spices I want right on top. And you close that parchment and you cook it for 10 or 15 minutes and everything steams beautifully inside. It makes a really nice liquid. And then you just put it over a whole grain or maybe some potatoes and you're good to go. And then that final one on the lower right is a stir fry. So again, you can have your something from your protein area. It could be tofu, it could be edamame, it could be chicken or shrimp or beef, whatever you feel like. Then we have a bunch of veggies. Again, those can change every time. If you want cilantro, if you want chives or scallions, kind of sky's the limit here again. And then you can have a consistent kind of soy-based liquid or method that kind of goes through to season it. I like to add orange juice quite a bit when I do a stir fry as well. So those are just a few of many, many different formulas. In 2020, I did this handout, which I've kind of moved around to fit our screen here, but I did this with Egg Nutrition Center and I love it. And we use it every year on my site and social media and on theirs. And it's one of the most downloaded handouts that they have. So you can see, again, these are 4 different, very basic formulas. Our goal here was to help reduce food waste, but again, this works in every purpose. So again, we have that veggie pita pizza with the egg on it, veggie pancakes, veggie egg hash, and egg veggie tacos. So here are 4 that I love and do over and over and over again in this formula space. And then sheet pan meals. I know a lot of you are like, yes, I do sheet pans every Wednesday or every Thursday, whatever it is. But these, again, sky's the limit here. So one of our favorites in my home is the upper left there, which is sheet pan nachos. So this picture has some ground meat on there, some black beans, some sour cream, a bunch of veggies, and everything goes in the oven and just gets baked together. On the bottom left, those are some beets and there's some other veggies in there. It's just hard to see, but essentially that was just a sheet pan of veggies. I tossed everything with olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can also, again, whatever spices you like, cumin, coriander, chili powder, cayenne, all of these things will taste great. And then you just roast them all together. And my only trick there is you have to cut everything around the same size so it cooks in the same amount of time. And then we have a few other pictures here where there's veggies and some sort of animal protein on the same sheet pan. So it's easy cleanup. Everything goes in the oven together and it cooks in the same amount of time. So dinner is quick, gets on the table easily, takes very little time to clean up, and you can change the seasonings and the spices as you go. That lower right is just chicken thighs and sweet potatoes that I cut like French fry style. Obviously, the other ones have a lot more diversity of veggies, but here are just, again, sky's the limit here as well. And then appliances. I love certain appliances. I know other people love their appliances as well. So I couldn't put everything in here, but Instapot, I know a lot of people have an Instapot and they love it. It's a really great way to do pressure cooking. So if you have a bag of dried beans, they can go in and they're done in like 30 minutes. It also has a slow cooker function, which on the left side there, those are other crock pot versions. But again, you put all your food in the morning, maybe you go to school or work, and when you come home, dinner is ready, or you can do it overnight. I love this crock pot picture in the middle here because I am a Gen X baby and it reminds me of going to like parties where everyone did potluck and brought all of their different foods in their slow cookers. And then in the bottom there, there's everyone loves their toaster oven or maybe their microwave. I use my microwave to steam vegetables a lot if I'm going to pair them with another dip or something. I also sometimes will steam veggies before I saute them on the stove because the pores open and then they absorb garlic and ginger and those kinds of flavors much more. And then there's no air fryer on here, but I know people love their air fryers as well. So these are all ways to get more fruit and vegetable intake. And then batch cooking. So I know that I cook for a living, but that doesn't mean I want to spend hours and hours in the kitchen every day. So I love this idea of batch cooking where I'm going to, for example, make a pot of brown rice or beans or lentils that I can eat throughout the week, but I'm going to make 2 or 3 times that and then portion them out and freeze them so that I cook once, but I have those beans or legumes or grains for the next 1 or 2 months. You can do the same with sauces and dips and dressings. I often will use an ice cube tray, and you can freeze things in smaller portions like pesto, for example, or tomato sauce. And then you pop them out of the freezer ice cube tray when they're frozen and put them just in a resealable freezer bag. And they're always there for you to eat. And the same thing goes with that large pot of soup or stew or chili. You can freeze them in portion sizes. You can even chop vegetables and freeze them, or have them available all week and make your own kind of mix and match salads or soups or side dishes all week with the things you've already chopped. Protein, if you're saving some money, it's always a great idea to get those giant family packs of chicken breast, for example, but then you open it and you portion each one out and freeze it individually. So you can use as much as you need at a time. Freezing fruit, I put under more advanced because you do have to put it on a sheet tray and let it freeze without touching each other. Then you put it into a freezer bag. And for long-term vegetables, I do recommend that you blanch them first and then freeze. But you can also roast large amount of vegetables. You can roast a whole chicken and then split it into different parts and use it over the week. You can chop up herbs and put them in olive oil, and do that in an ice cube tray. And that bottom right picture is steel cut oats. So during the winter, I will often make a huge batch of plain steel cut oats, freeze them in muffin tins, and then pop them out and put them in a freezer bag. So I always have an individual portion of steel cut oats ready to go. If I want it for breakfast, you just microwave it, and you can do it with the toppings or without. I usually do without so that I can kind of change it as I go. And then here is my last one, using your pantry as your prep kitchen. So there's so many products available now from all these wonderful brands, and also from private label brands and all the grocery stores that help us kind of add veggies and take away the prep time. So it can be as simple as just buying a frozen bag of cut up fruits or veggies. You can see that on the lower right here, there's one that also has some grains and legumes in it. So that's a whole side dish ready to go. If people have trouble keeping herbs fresh and they think that they, if they go bad quickly, there are all these really great frozen cubes of all these different herbs. So you just keep those in your freezer. Above that, the chimichurri, you can get pre-made pesto and romesco. You can get all of these different sauces like you see in the middle. So it's a can of tomatoes, but those tomatoes also have green chilies in them, maybe some other spices and seasonings in there. You can get the enchilada sauce. You can get all these simmering sauces and flavors. So you just add your veggies and go. And then on the left here, all of these lentils and black beans that are coming with those other spices and produce mixed in as well. All right, so next we're going to go back to Sarah, who is going to talk about her experience with the college and universities.
Okay,
You got
thanks.
it? Okay.
Yep, thanks, Abbie. Okay, while I wait for this slide to change. So I am currently with Yale University. So I'm taking off my retail dietitian hat and putting on my college and university hat. And a lot of the things that we do at Yale are pretty unique. So first I'll give you a quick overview. And then I'll kind of tell you about how we're working toward getting our students to eat more fruits and vegetables and just sort of making it part of what we do at Yale. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so just as a quick preview, I am helping to manage fruit and vegetable consumption in a lot of spaces at Yale. I do primarily focus on this residential space, so that's what you'll hear me talking about a lot. We are a self-operated space, which means we design our own menus, we do all of our own cooking, our own purchasing. So we have a lot of opportunities to get creative with the fruits and veggies that we use on our menus at Yale. Okay, and this slide is just here to show you that we're making a lot of food every single day. And one thing that I think is very unique about Yale is that almost all of our students live on campus for all 4 years. There's 14 residential colleges, and each college has its own dining hall. So in the top left corner, you'll see what one of those dining halls looks like. This becomes a very much like the students' dining room. They're very connected to the space. They're there 3 meals a day, most of them for 4 years with all their friends. So there's definitely a level of pressure to make it feel like a comfortable, wonderful space and to feed these students really well. Okay, so there are a few pieces that I've identified as being important to our students. One is ubiquity and one is variety and flavor fun. And fun is the third. So ubiquity, I think a lot of the time ubiquity is a negative term, but I'm using this positively. So ubiquity in the sense of having tons of fruits and vegetables on our menu is just something that we do. It's just the way it always is. It's always there. There's always tons of options. A good example of kind of the way this looks is we're currently in the middle of planning our fall menu cycle. And I found oftentimes our chef team, they focus on the protein first and then the veggie sides. And sometimes the veggie sides would feel a little forgotten, something kind of basic, which is fine, but it wasn't as exciting as it could have been. So with this menu cycle, we've often been taking days where we say, okay, we're planning plants first. So whether that's a dish that's inherently plant forward, or we're picking a really exciting green bean recipe or a really exciting carrot recipe or whatever, and then building the proteins after that, it's created a really interesting flavor profile for our menus. And it's also just encouraging us to plan plant forward in a way that's fun and exciting. Okay, so variety and flavor. We present fruits and vegetables in tons of ways and tons of the time. Our students want things that are super flavorful. They're not afraid to eat plant forward. They want to eat plant forward and they want to have really interesting fruit and vegetable preparations. So I've included some photos here of some of the really interesting things we've done through the years. It's not always a salad. It could be dishes that are inherently plant-based, like this chickpea recipe. We have lots of different, kind of like Beau suggested, we do a lot of dips. You can see the crudité at the top with the dip. And then even at breakfast in this top right, you can see our breakfast bowl with the eggs on it. Our students wanted to be eating more vegetables at breakfast. So we thought, okay, how can we introduce that to them, make it really customizable, make it really flavorful, and make it kind of fun. Okay, and again, variety and flavor. We do a lot of really interesting flavors at Yale. We have a lot of opportunities for students to interact. The really fun and mostly fun thing about working on a college campus is the students will tell you what they think about the dishes, whether that's bad or whether it's really good. And when it's really good, they let us know. They love to be hands-on with events. They love to participate. We have a lot of chefs come in. This bottom left photo of the students is they're doing an olive oil tasting, sort of like a wine tasting, but comparing different kinds of olive oil. There's just a lot of cool hands-on opportunities with our students. And we try to incorporate as many flavors that represent our student body as possible. So we do a lot with Mediterranean food, but that's not all. We're doing a lot beyond the Mediterranean diet and trying to expand those flavor profiles. Okay, and then again, keeping it fun. We have a lot of fun chefs coming throughout the year. Things kind of, these programs kind of fell to the wayside for the past few years, but we're bringing it back. We're bringing a lot of fun young chefs, a lot of people that our students have personally requested. We're working with our student interest groups to make sure that they're represented and that we're bringing in people that they're excited about. The chefs that I'm excited about might not be the same people that our students are excited about. So we're trying to build this based on kind of, we're guiding the conversation of, okay, we want to encourage people to eat more fruits and vegetables, but how do our students want to see that? Who do they want to hear present that? Just trying to make it as engaging as possible. Again, making it fun. I included a few photos here of events that I think are especially fun. We have on the top, this is Jordan. He is the manager of our West Campus farm. He does a lot of really great engaging events on the farm. A lot of students on campus have never picked a tomato off of a vine before. And I think anyone who's done that knows that that experience feels really special and it makes enjoying fruits and vegetables even more fun. You can see our chef with open arms on the top here. We had a Black History Month series where our chefs created the menus and presented them. It was one of our most popular series of the year. Our students loved it. And it really got our students involved. It got our team involved. Everyone was just interconnected and having a really good time. And then in the bottom here, you can see a snap of our chef interacting with a student at one of our Reality Bites presentations, where we prepare students to cook, shop, eat healthy, enjoy fruits and vegetables after they've graduated. Okay, and then I've included some data. I pulled some of our purchasing data at Yale and some of our consumption data, and then I compared it to the State of the Plate, which is released every 5 years. It's a really good resource that I like to use. And so I think some of this is very impressive. I was honestly shocked when I pulled some of this data. The dark leafy greens piece is one that jumps out to me, especially one cup equivalent per transaction. So that's huge. I try to measure things by transaction to get a better sense of the picture. That's a lot more dark leafy greens than the average American is eating. I think the average American eats about a half cup per day. So our students are eating a lot of dark leafy greens, and those are coming in lots of different forms, whether it's charred, whether it's steamed, whether it's sauteed. We use a lot of dark leafy greens. Red and orange vegetables, 3 times more than the average American, lots of fruit, and just 10 times more produce, 10% more produce in 2022 compared to 2019. So we're increasing our purchasing of produce every year, and our students are consuming more produce every year. And then I didn't want to compare this piece of data without also comparing it to the rest of our purchases. So our meat and poultry consumption is quite low at Yale. Our students enjoy it and we serve it, but we do try to reduce the portion size and increase the fruit and vegetable consumption. We eat tons of beans at Yale, 150% more beans in 2022 compared to 2019, and we were already eating a lot of beans in 2019. So I think when we present things in this plant-forward way, the students are receptive. They want to see that. And when we present it in a really flavorful, bold, fun ways, it's just totally ubiquitous. When we design the line, you'll notice we always have a few protein options, but tons of fruit and vegetable options. It's just ubiquitous, it's flavorful, it's fun, and it's a really good way to get our students eating more. And they're constantly demanding more and more flavor and variety. Okay, I think that's it. We'll turn it back to Amy.
Yes, Sarah, thank you. And thanks to Abbie and Beau as well. You guys were all total rock stars in sharing your insights with different perspectives on different environments. We do have some questions from our audience. So I'm going to go to our Q&A box here. And the first comment, Sarah, comes from a former retail, she's still in retail, but a colleague of yours. I don't know that any of us know this answer for sure, but I think we all know the answer. Do schools allow kids to bring pointy sticks to school? So, Beau, maybe you could address that. If things are put on skewers, is that something that schools are allowing these days?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to take into account, like if you're a parent, what your kid can handle and how old the kids are. We've never had an issue with it, though. We've literally never had the schools send any notes back. And also, hey, it's summertime. This could just be a fun at-home way to mix up meals for summer as well. And so if I'm ever concerned, I actually break the pointy end off. I just use wooden skewers, break the pointy end off, and then it's fine. But I've literally never had any complaints from parents, and my kids have never come home with holes poked in them from skewers. So
yeah, awesome. I see somebody commented here that straws can be used in place of skewers. I think being a Californian, I can't get my hands on plastic straws anymore. They've been outlawed here. Paper straws wouldn't hold up as well. But I think, the comment about schools, different stuff typically happens in schools than what can happen at home with Beau's creativity for engaging younger kids and being more excited about fruits and vegetables. Oh, here's another great tip. Pretzels can be used as well. So that's a lovely idea.
Hey, Amy,
okay.
I just,
yeah, Sarah.
I saw a way that kind of ties in with Beau's idea recently. I saw someone promoting tooth picnics now that it's picnic season, so that you don't have to take silverware with you. So everything is tooth pickable. So Beau is presenting it as engaging young people, but I was excited as an adult to have a tooth picnic.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I got a box of food on my airplane the other day, and it came with a bag of olives that were so awesome, with a toothpick for picking the olives out of the bag. So yeah, but the tooth picnic, clever. Okay, is there an age recommendation when using a stick with young kids? Beau, I think this goes back to you and your insights with your young kids. Now a little older.
I think, I mean, obviously you don't want to use it too small, but actually I heard, or I saw at a daycare that my coworker, had their kid in it, and they were doing kebab sticks under close supervision with their teachers, and they were doing it pretty young, but obviously closely supervised. And so I think it just depends on the school, on the child, and if you're at all worried, use some of these great alternative ideas as well. The idea is on a stick. It doesn't have to be just a wooden kebab stick. It could be, like Sarah was saying, toothpicks. It could be a lot of other things too.
Awesome. Well, and I'm sure Abbie's thinking about other vegetables you can cut into sticks that will hold up well to skewer with fruit, and then the whole thing becomes edible. Our next kind of question / comment really leans into the issue of food inflation and what is affordable for people. She says, an example of $2.49 per pound, even in season apples, are not affordable. Can one get retail to promote sales by reducing prices when veg and fruits are in season? Sarah, you want to add any perspectives on, retail pricing if you feel comfortable doing so?
Yeah. Well, I think we all know that when things are in season, they do tend to be less expensive, but I'm totally with you. I think looking for sales, doing some cost comparison, but you're right, retail inflation is a huge piece, and buying fruits and vegetables in season, they don't always have to be fresh. It could be frozen, canned. That's a good way to get around that too, but seasonality does tend to help with price, and then looking at those non-fresh options that are just as good, or is a good option too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have a comment here, not so much a question, but a comment about, experiential learning with people, both kids and adults, getting people to plant fruits and vegetables, giving seeds to consumers to bring home to try to grow, giving children guidance they need, watching their own food grow. I can certainly speak to this, and then I'll turn it over to you guys. I used to work for a large food company that did this, and what we realized was there was initial excitement, and then it was hard to keep people going. And I think this makes me think about a quote that Wendy Reinhardt-Capsack, former CEO of PBH, used to say, if you want somebody to do something, make it easy. So comments on the make it easy part of this. What advice do you guys have for the audience on the making it easy part of fruit and vegetable consumptions and building these habits? Abbie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a New Yorker, so I can't grow anything. The teaching kitchen I run, we have a rooftop farm, and that's as close as I get, which is pretty amazing. But it's even hard here, depending on what your living situation is, to keep herbs alive, because we don't necessarily have a windowsill, for example. But for other ideas, I'm always back to frozen and canned. You can always have those on hand. They're not going to go bad. You're not going to worry about, I just bought it last week and I never got, you're not going to feel as pressured to use it all the time. They tend to be way more affordable also. And the other thing I think about is when we're cooking or buying our groceries or making our grocery list, make sure there are some fruits and veggies on there that are longer lasting. So maybe it's potatoes, because they'll last longer, and onions, for example, or maybe you have citrus or apples or bananas that tend to be grab and go and also will last longer than, maybe some fresh berries.
Yeah, I know, Abbie, you and I have talked a lot about our stern excitement about all forms. Like, we have to encourage people to buy and consume all forms. We know PBH data shows us that the most common form people buy is fresh, but then if it doesn't get used and it becomes food waste, that's not helping with consumption, only sales. So this issue of getting all forms in the cart, on the plate, in the mouth, in the bowl, in the wrap, cut into a fun shape, whatever, but let's be supportive of all forms. So there's a comment here that nobody on this panel ever refers to fruits and veggies. The focus of the webinar is plants. I think the Have a Plant movement has been something that has been picked up widely. And this is what the industry is going with right now. I know the gentleman who answered this question, he's a longtime friend. The Make It Easy, I think that may be copyright infringement on others who have used something similar. But yeah, anybody have a comment on that Have a Plant versus more specific on fruits and vegetables, or the Make It Easy? Sarah?
Well, I don't know. I think either way of talking about it is effective. I just think it's all about kind of the same way that I mentioned with our in grocery, that surround sound messaging, talking about fruits and veggies or plants or whatever verbiage you want to use in as many places as you can. So I'm talking about it in person with students. We have messaging about it on signs. It's the same in grocery. I think just with any messaging, the more we can talk about it and the more we can use consistent messaging, the better. But I don't know. I think it's also super visual. In fact, this Q&A page with all these seasonal delicious fruits on here, I think that's almost more effective than talking about it. Sometimes just seeing a delicious piece of fruit is exciting to me.
Well, and I think you all showcased the power of the visual as you were all presenting. People were in chat responding to what they were seeing on screen and getting excited about the ideas you were presenting. So, I think you're absolutely right, Sarah, the visual power of fruits and vegetables, because of all the gorgeous, colors and shapes and whatnot, really trigger us to lean in and want more. There's some really great chat going on. I want to thank everybody who's engaging so much in this. Somebody in the Q&A dropped in a little tip. She wants people to know about chopchopfamily.org. They empower kids to learn cooking skills and get involved, and they provide resources in English and Spanish. So I think, all of these resources, including everything that's available on fruitsandveggies.org, I encourage everybody to lean into this, to think about what's the positive, easy messaging and tips and guidance you can provide for people who want to, maybe even don't know that they need to be eating more fruits and vegetables for better health and better happiness. We have a few more moments, and I have just a couple questions for each of you. What is your personal favorite hack that's led to your habit that you're like so proud of for your own personal fruit and vegetable eating habits? Abbie, you want to go first?
I'll go first. You saw me
smile.
on mute,
Yeah.
right? Those overnight oats. I mean, I do them all year round, especially in the warmer months, and it takes me literally 1 minute to put it all together. And I always have, I honestly just change up the fruit every time, but my base is always the same. So it'll be whatever frozen fruits on sale, or if I have a can of peaches or pears, or if I went to the farmer's market, it's anything goes in the fruit side, but that base and the quickness of it and the ability to kind of grab and go if I need that too, it's overnight oats.
See, and I love that, because as a professionally trained chef, people would probably think you'd do something harder or more chefy. You've picked something that works for you every single day. I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, let's go to you next. What's your favorite hack that's turned into a habit?
Putting out any sort of fruit or veggie, nothing fancy, as I'm prepping dinner for our household, because we're always snacking. And then if the dinner takes a little longer than anticipated, which happens more than I'd like, at least I'm snacking on a fruit or a veggie rather than chips or whatever, usually chips.
Yeah, well, chips and pico de gallo, that's one of my favorite hacks, especially this time of year. Hey, Beau, what's your personal favorite hack to have it?
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit similar to Sarah, and it's just like making sure to wash plenty of fruits and vegetables and have it available, because I'm pretty lazy overall. But if it's out on the counter and I'm passing by, like one of my favorite things is grape tomatoes, and I'll grab a couple of those when I'm walking by for a snack, or if grapes are washed and having them in a bowl on the counter. and anything like that. I love that for snacking. And I love that in the chat also someone mentioned, hey, making sure to wash like things like berries and then freeze them right away. And that's a great budget way too, for fruits and vegetables. When you find them on sale, wash them and freeze them, and then you can use them whenever you want. And honestly, my kids love like frozen grapes and frozen blueberries and things like that.
Yeah, awesome. My favorite hack is kind of old school and maybe kind of like dietitian dorky, but when have a plate recommendations came out to make half your plate fruits and veggies, I immediately went to, well, gosh, I need to make half my cart fruits and veggies. So when I grocery shop, like produce is the last place I go, and I go to fresh and then I go into frozen and canned. And it's true. That's my hack, because once it's in the house, I will make it and my husband will eat it. All right, let's go back to our slides. I want to thank you guys again for being so phenomenal, so fun to work with, such great insights. And everybody who's been clamoring about how do you get more of this, you're all going to get the slides. But if Emily wants to bring back the slides here, I just want to remind everybody that your go-to place for all of these resources, fruitsandveggies.org. And it's important to remember that September is National Fruits and Veggies Month. So while we want you to make every day a day to encourage people to eat and enjoy more fruits and veggies in all their forms, September is the month when we really lean into celebrating Have a Plant all month long. So keep an eye out for the National Fruits and Veggies Month Toolkit. It will be released in early July with turnkey resources to make sharing the Have a Plant love deliciously easy. And we hope you're all starting to plan for your September Have a Plant activities today. And for any of my RDN colleagues out there, if you need more CE units, check out the library of free on-demand webinars at fruitsandveggies.org, where you can obtain continuing education credit just for listening to the recorded versions of the webinars. Everyone at PBH, we all want to make sure we're providing you with valuable cutting-edge virtual education to help you expand your knowledge through new research, trends, product innovations, and culinary inspirations from our diverse group of expert speakers. So don't forget, we'll be sending you your CE certificate, a PDF of the slides, and you'll get the recording within 48 to 72 hours. So again, I want to thank Sarah, Abbie, and Beau. You guys are absolutely delightful. I love your various areas of expertise. I'm a little jealous of all of you for the work you get to do each day to increase fruit and vegetable consumption. So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next webinar.